Alright, so we completed setup in the last video. I rearranged it a little bit to make it more accessible. But what we're going to do now is we're going to walk through a few turns of SlaughterVille to show you how the game plays and what you can possibly do in this game. So let's move the dice out of the way a little. First thing to start with is the players. The players have two actions they can perform on each turn. They can move, they can interact with the locations, or they may have the chance to fight the villain depending on the villain's card. The first action we're going to do is we're going to move. Now we're going to use this little red wink here as our first player marker so we know who goes first. And we're going to take this green player and we're going to move her to... we're going to go to the forest with her, just for giggles. Okay? So when you get to the forest, you have your second action to take, because the first one was moving. So the second one is we're going to explore the location. You explore the location by flipping over a card. In this case, we found the Scoutmaster. The Scoutmaster is an event and an ally. So we read the card and said he was out planning for his trip with the troop when he got lost. Make a perception check to lead him out of the forest. If it's successful, attach the card to your character as an ally and gain 1 nerve. Now, characters can attach up to 2 items and as many allies and victims as they can carry. But there is a limit for items, and that's only 2. Now this card says to make a perception check, but what's that, you're asking yourself? Well, perception check, if you look on the card, the cards have different stats, and in this case, her perception check is 3. That means she takes 3 dice, rolls said dice, and hopefully does better than what I did. Okay? In order to succeed at any check, you must roll either a 5 or a 6. Now, I did not succeed, so I don't get this Mr. Scoutmaster as an ally. I fail to lead him out of the woods, and he goes in the discard pile. Okay, and that's the end of her turn. Now turn goes over here to the angry guy. The angry guy is not very happy, so he's going to go to the cemetery. The cemetery, he encounters a location. He just happens to find a Winchester Model 1897 shotgun. Now you notice it's an event and an item. The event means something must happen before you can get the item. And in his case, again, it happens to be make a perception check, because he found an old decrepit tombstone that was pretty much unreadable. And if he's able to perceive or to read this tombstone, he can get that item. Now let's see. His perception is a lovely 1. That means he rolls this 1 die. And as you see, he did not do it. So, unfortunately, he does not get that handy-dandy shotgun because he can't read. He's too angry to read. Now, after both players have gone, it's the villain turn. What you do is you look on the villain card and see if there's anything that says villain turn. In this case, there is. This one says that the villain has to seek out victims or allies from every location. So we roll a 1d6. Travel to that location, so you take the villain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, put the villain at that location, which just happens to be at her same area. Okay? The villain searches the discard pile and kidnaps any victims or allies, and he immediately takes them to the starting area. So he takes this victim or ally back to his starting area. Now this villain has the victory condition of gathering what they call a variety of meats. They want a victim or ally from each location, a singular one. And once they have all 6, they win. The heroes, the players, can freely go to the farm, challenging the villain, and if they beat the villain in a single combat round, which we'll get to later, they have the chance to either damage the villain by overturning cards, or rescuing one of these allies. Alright, but now that the villain turn is done, as far as the card goes, the villain gets a chance to overturn a card. In this case, they got Sharpen the Knives. The villain is preparing for the slaughter, the knives are being made ready. Attach this card to the villain to give him +1 combat. That's always lovely. The villain's combat is what they're going to use to fight us. The villain has 3 combat to start, which means they would normally roll 3 dice. They also get +1 for each victim or ally captured per location. So they already captured 1 from there, and they would now have 4 combat dice. But, lovely enough, they're sharpening their knives, and they get another +1 combat. So they are a total of 5 dice when they have to fight us. We're not all defenseless, but that's a lot. Okay. Well, turn goes. First player marker passes. First player is important because a lot of these victim and villain cards and the event cards mention the first player. So we need to know who the first player is. So the angry guy is going to stay here at the cemetery. He's going to keep searching. So for his first action, he's going to overturn and look. It's a zombie. A zombie's an undead event, says the smell of grave dirt fills your nostrils, a rotting creature reaches for you, a moan escaping from a breathless mouth, combat of 3. What this means is we take the angry person's combat, which happens to be 3, versus the zombie. So we'll roll the angry guy first. He has 1 success. We will take the zombie and roll his. The zombie has no successes. We win. When you win a combat round, you gain a clue. Clues can be used for healing, using your special ability, or for some of the villain cards to fill their conditions, or to help defeat those villains. If you're out and about, you can spend as many clues as you want per turn. There is no limit. You can use your clues to heal. You spend a clue and you can roll a die. And you heal 1d3 that amount. What 1d3 is, you take the number, cut it in half, round up. So in this case it's a 2. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. Round it up, you get your 2. Alrighty. So, now it's back to the religious one, and it's her turn. She's still at the forest, so she's going to take a look around. She finds a strange house. Now the strange house says, a small house sits in the middle of the forest, roll a 1d6. And what this happens, as it does on some cards, is it says it has different conditions or different actions or events based on whatever you roll on this dice. Now I rolled a 6. 1 to 3 would have been making a perception check to gain a clue. 4 to 5, a crazed person would attack us. But 6 says the walls are fading. You look towards the front door and it seems impossibly far away. Make a speed check. If you fail in the speed check to get out of the strange house, you move to a random location and take 1d3 damage because we didn't quite make it out. But let's check our speed. Our speed happens to be 2. And so we roll. And yes, we barely made it out. So we do not suffer the damage and we don't have to move anywhere. For her second action, let's just take a look again. She found an axe, which is always a good thing. Axe is stuck into a tree, can you wrench it out? The blade seems sharp, so you attach it to your character and you gain +1 combat. Now this item would be attached to this character. And her 1 combat is now a 2. Excellent. So now that her turn is finished, having taken her 2 actions, we come back once again to the villain. And what does he do? As we stated before, the villain rolls a 1d6. He gets a 6. Comes to this location. He is supposed to find a victim or ally in that discard pile. If there are none, he overturns until one is found, but he leaves it there because he didn't find it right away. He then stays at this location instead of moving back. So we're going to overturn cards until we find a victim or ally. In this case, the chaplain was found, and the chaplain stays. Now, use the villain card. Roasting Spit. The villain grabs a victim or ally from the discard pile at a random location. The victim or ally is roasted and the villain gains 1d6 health. The victim is removed from game and does not count towards the villain or player victory condition. So, let's roll to see if we find one. No. Because there is no victim, this doesn't take effect and goes directly into the villain discard pile. And the villain doesn't get the chance to heal. First player token passes, and play continues.